No place like the Cube. Family, this is your favorite queer radio personality, Anna DeShawn, and this is Queer News, your favorite weekly news pod where race and sexuality meet politics, culture, and entertainment. This is your number one stop for queer news done right, only on E3 Radio.
When you are different, when you are othered in any way, and you are given a platform on a national television show, it's a free-for-all, and back then, Anna, we didn't have social media. If you wanted to hate me, you had to find me.
That was Jim Verraros, former American Idol contestant from the inaugural season in 2002, who came out as gay at 19 years old. Well, now he's back with his first major studio release in 15 years, titled Explicit. And I had the opportunity to actually talk with Jim through a Chicago connection, our very own Nico Lang. And if y'all been listening to the podcast over the last few weeks, I've been playing clips from Jim because I've wanted y'all to go out and get his album titled Explicit, okay? And today I bring you the interview because if you've been following me or reading our newsletter, you know that I just celebrated my birthday. Come on, it is Virgo season. I'm such a Virgo through and through. And this year I received an invitation to attend the U.S. Open's Pride event. And can I just tell y'all, it was a time. It was a time. And I had no idea all that goes on at the U.S. Open, but I found out, okay? And when I realized what the dates were, I told my wife, well, we're going to New York. We're going to celebrate my birthday. And we did just that. We got into New York City. We went and saw The Lion King right away on Broadway. It was amazing. My wife loves Lion King. I love Lion King. And it just made our night. The next day, we went to the U.S. Open for the first time and experienced their Pride event. And let me just say, you could see the care in every little detail. That's how you know people care about what they're doing. Every little detail was thought about in this event. And when we walked in, they had cheerleaders greeting us. Okay, the energy was high. We received a free copy of Candace Parker's new book. And I said to them, is Candace Parker here? They couldn't even really tell me, but I just knew it was true. And the panel was just amazing, moderated by LZ Granderson, who I had the opportunity to thank for his representation in media over the last 2 decades. Him and Robin Roberts, okay? Him and Robin Roberts are my people. You understand? And the panel included Sam Phillips, who is an out gymnast in college doing his thing. It also included Carl Nesbitt, who was the first active NFL player to come out, and the legend herself, Candace Parker. It was fantastic. The room was full of LGBTQ advocates from across the country, and we just had a wonderful time being in community together at the Open. Okay? I got the chance to see Venus Williams play twice and win twice and do the signature Williams twirl. I saw Naomi Osaka play. What? Can I just say my birthday was made, and thank you to the U.S. Open for the invitation. Thank you so much for your care. I also want to say thank you to Karen Finch for dressing me and styling me. The brand, child, that outfit fits so well. I put it on, it fit like a glove, okay? It made me feel like $1 million. And for all my mask lesbians out there listening, you know how hard it is for us to find clothes that fit. I put that jacket on. The sleeve didn't go down to my knuckles. Okay, it fit perfectly. I'm so grateful for that partnership with Karen Finch. And my wife and I just really at the time of our lives. I met up with a couple of my friends and colleagues in New York, and we had dinner, and we slept. And we slept. We really rested. And it was just what we needed. It was right on time. And I am just full, truly, just really full of gratitude that this is the life that I've been able to co-create with my creator. And so much of it is because of this podcast right here. And so how could I ever miss a week? How could I ever miss a week with y'all? I got home, was able to celebrate with my mom and my dad, my sister and my nephews, and my aunt and my uncles. When I tell y'all I am blessed, it's just really hard to put into words how blessed I am to be 42 years old with a loving family who loves me because of all of who I am, not despite of it. It is their love and care that gives me the audacity to get on a microphone and speak my truth. It's their love that gives me that audacity. And that is something that I could never repay. And doing this podcast and doing my work and showing up and really, truly doing what I feel like I'm called to do every single day is because they taught me. It's because they loved me. It's because they believed in me. And if I can give that to somebody else, I've done what I was supposed to do. And so with that, I'm going to get out the way. And I hope that you all enjoy this interview, this conversation, truly, that I had with Jim Verraros about his new album, Explicit, about being on American Idol, about continuing to pursue his dreams. I think it's going to really resonate with you all, and I really do hope you enjoy. Till next week, peace. Family, imagine this. You're not just checking boxes, you're being rewarded for real, meaningful progress towards your crazy-ass goals. With Focal Point Coaching's 90-day impact program, it's about the results you create. Hit your goals, get your money back for the program. Your next 90 days could change everything. Sign up now at focalpointforyou.com. That's Focal Point, the number 4, the letter U.com.
Mental health coverage is just as important as physical health coverage. In Illinois, mental health parity laws ensure that your coverage for mental health conditions and substance use disorders is not more restrictive than your coverage for physical health conditions. If your health plan has unlimited doctor visits for a condition like hypertension, then it must offer unlimited visits for a condition like depression. Learn more at getcoveredillinois.gov.
Family, it's your favorite queer radio personality, Anna DeShawn, here with another exclusive interview for the Queer News podcast. And this one is special because it comes through a Chicago connection, okay? And y'all already know, I'm 10 toes down for Chicago. And so today, I'm excited to welcome to the Queer News podcast, Jim Verraros. Jim, what's going on?
Thank you, Anna, so much for having me. I so appreciate it.
I'm so glad you're here. Our mutual, okay, is Nico Lang and family. You already know Nico has been on the show. We've been talking about their book for a long time, and they are still on tour, okay? Their goal, I think, is in all 50 states, and I think Nico is really, really close. Maybe twice.
Maybe twice.
At this point, right? Oh. But today we got Jim through Nico, and I love these Chicago connections. And family, if you don't know, and maybe you remember in 2002 when Jim was on the inaugural season of American Idol, made it to the top 10, okay? Decided to come out and say I'm gay in 2002. Chile. Jim, you did all of that.
Yeah. In a time when we really didn't have a lot. It was Katie Lang and Rufus Wainwright. And, Rosie O'Donnell had just come out right around the same time I did. Ellen DeGeneres just a few years before I did. And really, we just kind of had Will and Grace as representation for the community. So it was a very different landscape, a very different time.
A very, very different time. And you had to figure all of that out. Now, I'm sure you were also very tired of talking about American Idol as a part of the journey, but I guess it is the beginning.
And it's a big part of it. So many things came from the exposure of being on Idol that I'm very grateful for. So I want to make sure that that's said. But Nico and I first met because I had actually reached out to Nico and I said, hey, I've got this single coming out. I know you're more on the political side on your Instagram, but would you mind posting something? And they said, Jim, that's not really my thing, but maybe something in the future, right? So they hang up the phone, and then they start getting very sort of intrigued by my Wikipedia page, which is dangerous because anybody can edit that. So be careful. They started kind of digging and then sort of got interested in my life and my story. And we ended up getting on another call for 2 hours. And I just sort of word vomited my entire life. And then it sort of piqued their interest. And I think Nico thought that there was something bigger there. And so we sort of set on this year-long journey to talk to probably 25 or 30 different queer contestants from over many, many years and many seasons. And what Nico ended up finding out was some things that were incredibly harmful and things that caused a lot of trauma with contestants, people that were in the middle of transitioning, detransitioned because of some of the things that they felt. When you are different, when you are othered in any way, and you are given a platform on a national television show, it's a free-for-all, and back then, Anna, we didn't have social media. If you wanted to hate me, you had to find me, and you had to get to the message boards, and you had to click on Idol, and then you had to find my name and which season, and it's like, you had to really want to hate me, And so I'm so grateful that we did not have social media because I probably would have not survived,
That's real. And I think it's so hard for us to wrap our heads around what life was like literally just 20 years ago and how much it has changed. And that public access to people who have chosen to live a public life is really scary these days. So I hear you on that. And now, is this piece that you and Nico worked on? I'm sure it's published somewhere.
Yeah, it's for Rolling Stone. So kind of was this bombshell piece that came out last year. So Nico did an incredible, amazing job and dedicated a year of their life to this story. And I was just so thrilled to just be a part of it and really help to bring closure, I think, to a lot of contestants that maybe felt sort of uneasy about the situation. And, we're in a different time, obviously, in a lot of different ways. I mean, this administration is taking us back, obviously. But I think that the representation and the visibility, right, in media, television, music, film, that's what inspired me to come back after 14 years because of Chappell Roan and Sam Smith and, Vincent. And, there's just so many queer, successful mainstream music artists. And I just thought, well, maybe I'm not done yet. Maybe I've still got some left in me. And that was really my inspiration. It was the queer joy and the queer representation that we're seeing now that really gave me the confidence to maybe push that door open a little further.
I'm glad it did. Family, if you listen to this, don't worry. A link to that Rolling Stone article will be in the show notes, okay? So you can dig in if you haven't read it. And I'm so glad that their representation was able to inspire you to come back, because this album that we're going to talk about during this interview is your first major release in 15 years.
Yeah.
How is it all feeling in this moment?
It's a homecoming in a lot of ways. My first album that I put out this year was the 20th anniversary. And every time I come to it, I'll share it on my Instagram. And so many people that have followed me tell me about how it affected them. And the album came out in 2005. So, I was openly gay. I was the first openly gay idol to put out an album. I was the first openly gay idol to chart on the Billboard charts. I had a top 20 Billboard dance song. And, there wasn't a lot of queer male pop representation. And so I really felt that a lot of people took me with them in a lot of ways and held me, close to them. And I was so happy to be a part of their journey. Especially, again, openly gay American pop singers, we didn't have any. So I don't think I truly understood the gravity of what I was doing, but I knew that I was embarking upon something really special and being welcomed by our community, going to Pride events, meeting and hugging and loving, people, members of our community, just saying thank you. And then also Eating Out, which is one of the first movies that I also did, also kind of came into conjunction with the record. So I had this record, I had this film, and it did very well at the film festivals, and it got us the cover of The Advocate. Me and my two co-stars, and then Eating Out 2 happened, and then another gay sequel with RuPaul and Willem happened, and so these small little moments of queer cinema kind of really started to grow in the early 2000s, and I was so thrilled to be a part of them, because we see so many times the trauma, right, in film that portrays our lives, right? There's enough of that there. What we don't see is the joy, the hilarity, the unseriousness, the pure, unadulterated love of just sex and just, this inhibition to being gay, right? It can be fun. It's also very lighthearted and very American Pie, and we can sort of laugh at ourselves too. And so they weren't Oscar-worthy movies by any chance, but I think it was what we needed to see. We needed to see more of ourselves reflected on screen, reflected in actors, or openly gay actors playing an openly gay role, right? So I look back at that part of my career, and I did it so early on. I mean, I was 19 on American Idol. I was 22 when my album came out. And looking back, I really kind of want to tap myself on the shoulder and say, that wasn't nothing. And I hope that this new generation, who has been so blessed and so lucky to live in this time where you don't think twice about holding your partner's hand as you walk down the street. It was so different for me. It was so different for, I think, a lot of us back then. But I love that they are feeling free to express themselves in a way that I don't think I did back then. So
there was no permission given.
No.
It was a bold statement to say that I am out and I am queer or gay or lesbian or trans, bi, however you identify at that time. You were making a statement.
Yeah.
You were coming out and saying, I'm willing to be vulnerable. As I think also when we talk about representation, we don't talk about the vulnerability that comes along with it. Because to your point, before social media, there was a little bit of protection. Today, there isn't.
No.
There really isn't. And so even though people may feel more bold, they also are way more vulnerable today as well, living in your truth. And I must say, Jim, this album, honey, I went to the website. Babe, you look sexy as hell. Now, I know that the title is explicit. So what's going on? Are we being explicit through this whole thing? I said, you better work that all black. Okay, I don't know how. You posed. You did a thing. You look good, honey.
Thank you. It's a beautiful thing, Anna, is at 42, it just feels so good to kind of be in this place in my life, learn what I've learned, experience what I've experienced. It just feels right. It feels just, and that's really kind of how I came up with the title. Explicit isn't necessarily about the content per se. It's about being uninhibited, uncensored. It's about experiencing enough in your life to not be afraid to talk about it, afraid to sing about it, afraid to address it. I'm a grown ass man at 42 who's gone through 2 marriages. I've got shit to say, and I'm not going to hide behind this Disney kind of safe, facade. It's just not who I am. So I would rather at this point in my life give you what I've got, and hopefully that's enough. And if it's not, then it's none of my business, what you think about, right? But it's just so refreshing to just create and whatever you do and whoever you are, at whatever stage, life you're at. As you get older, you get wiser, you get smarter, you get more comfortable, you get more confident, more expressive. And so that's how Explicit was born. It's just that this is who I am now. It's kind of a little J-Lo. This is me now, right? It's kind of like that.
I love this for us.
Yeah.
Come on, 42. Okay, come on. Life has been lived. Yes. And I've got something to say about it. I think it's something really special when you can look back over your life. You can see where you've been and still be present in today and know I still have more that I not only want to do, but I feel like I'm being called to do. You use words like aligned and it feels right. And those types of grounding words resonate with me so much because in this entertainment game, it is hard. I find that oftentimes people don't associate artists like yourself in entertainment as entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
But please, family, no. Artists are, in fact, entrepreneurs. And they are out here truly taking big leaps of faith every time they drop an album, every time they decide to keep singing, every time they decide not to get a job.
Yeah.
Right? And I think so many of us take it for granted that art just shows up in the world. And so for you to say, at 42, I got more to say. We got more to do. And come on, I'm also going to be out and I'm also going to be queer and I'm also going to talk about who I love unapologetically. It still today means so much to so many people. And so I'm excited that you have decided that now is the time in the midst of what we're living in right now, that you have said, I could care less and I'm still going to do me.
Well, I think it's now more than ever. I think every queer person right now, if you have something to say, if there's an art that you're passionate about, LL Cool J, and this is a random person to quote, but he said something a long time ago that really resonated with me. And that was, dreams don't have deadlines. And that really stuck with me because I think now we're living in a time where we're seeing people succeed well into their 40s, 50s, and 60s. And I think that success doesn't have an expiration date. I think that everyone is just one project away from having it all. And the virality of how, music or film or television can go, that can really change someone's life. And so whatever it is that you love, I think back to when we were kids, Anna, growing up, and we were so unjaded and we were so, there was just a playful, innocent, naive approach to life that we all have. And so certain things as we're kids, we get very drawn to, written very organically, right? Whether it's music, whether it's playing an instrument, whether it's choir or band, or maybe it's, debate team, or maybe it's culture or whatever it is, right? A sport. Those things appeal to you for a reason, right? You're drawn to them for a reason when we're very young and we don't know any better, but there's a love there. And then life gets busy. We focus on getting an education. We focus on our significant other. We focus on our children. We focus on our home, bills, a mortgage. And then we lose those joys that we once found so young. So in this administration, it is a non-negotiable that you find your joy. And so music for me has helped me also in this sort of shit show we're in.
Shit show, yes. And queer joy, absolutely. It is a mandate. And family, y'all hear me talk about this all the time. It is a mandatory activity to go out here and find yourself some joy. Not happiness, but some real joy and grounding in your life. I'm so interested, Jim, with this album, Explicit. You got to tell me, what is that one track you think people are going to love the most coming from the album?
It's funny. Not only was it inspired by just other queer artists, but I teamed up with an incredible queer songwriter who is in Oklahoma City. Their name is Jace Green. Jace is beyond gifted, thinks about music and almost mathematics because there's like fractions to it. And I think they get very technical with it and is just so brilliant. And Jace is also 23. So almost 20 years younger than me. So I was like, you school me, because I've been out of the game for a minute, but I was so open to their suggestions, ideas, thoughts, chord progressions, harmonies. And I was just like, I love it. Keep it. Like, I think it's really important for us to like remain open and to listen to younger generations because, we need to get some of that into, we need to find ways to blend that into, what we love. Right. And so Jace just taught me so much. And when we started coming up with the idea for the record, it was sort of, we talked about my influences, growing up, I had deaf parents. So in many cases, kids hear music playing in the house all day long. Right. I didn't. It was a little different. My music came from television or the radio that I turned on, right? And so I was always very organically drawn towards soulful voices, right? Singers in the Church, Sister Act 2, Lauryn Hill, right? I mean, that made me want to fucking sing. Like Eye on the Sparrow, I die every time. So it was Tina Turner, Mariah, Whitney, George Michael, Michael Bolton, these very, very, very soulful, you went through some shit when you sing and you hear it with those people. And so I started to sing in the car a lot, with my mom who's deaf, right? And she would always just kind of put her hand on my, on my throat, because people would come up to her when I would perform, and she'd always come to shows that I was doing in high school and junior high. And she was like, your son is just has such a beautiful voice. And my mom was just like, okay. She was like, I guess my son is Mariah, apparently. And I was just like, oh, I want you to keep thinking that. But it really sort of shaped a lot of things for me. And, growing up with deaf parents, I was very much their interpreter, at a very young age. Right. So I was having these very adult conversations at 4 and 5 with, her gynecologist or a dentist appointment, or maybe it was a realtor or her accountant or her attorney. And I was sort of growing up very, very quickly. And as a CODA, I'm not sure if you've seen the movie, but CODA stands for Child of Deaf Adult. It can be a struggle because you feel like you identify with both hearing and the deaf world. And yet it's really hard to kind of find where all of that intersects. And when you tend to be the oldest child, I have a sister who's 2 years younger, you sort of are looked on as you are the interpreter. Like, you are going to be the person that takes care of mom and dad. And so I played caretaker for the first 18 years of my life and handled things that most children would never, could never do. Yeah. But it also had a lot of benefits. I grew up on closed captioning. So when I would watch TV, I really just stared at the words, at the bottom of the screen. And so I ended up competing in spelling bees when I was in 7th grade, and I was 7th in the state of Illinois when I was 13 years old. And so there were little gifts along the way of being a child of deaf parents. And that was actually, brought into play on my first audition of Idol. Paula Abdul said, "Hey, Jim, we hear your parents are deaf. Tell us about that." And I was like, oh God, please, please, please don't make me sign my song. You're going to make me sign my song. Okay. Was not prepared. So it was very sloppy. And I was like, this is not America's Next Interpreter, right? I was not I hadn't practiced. I was just trying to sing, but that sort of shaped the identity that I think they wanted to carve for me. I was a great story. I was a great sympathy story. And I didn't want that. And I didn't think of my life that way. It was just my life. It was just, my parents are deaf. I know that's uncommon to you, but I didn't want people to feel bad for me. I didn't feel bad, but anyway, you can't control how a reality show will edit you.
And that's really where the harm takes place. It's because you don't see the final edit. Most people don't understand reality TV is about as real as that nonfiction book you picked up. Okay. And you don't get to see the final edit, and you don't get to see how they're going to shape your story. And I can imagine that is what Nico uncovered in that piece in Rolling Stone, and how that impacted all of the queer folks who participated in Idol. And I'd imagine that it's impacted even those who are not queer in different ways. And anybody who's ever participated in a reality TV situation.
Sure.
I do think it's pretty dope that you grew up in a house with deaf parents. And that's how I know we're just given some things. Sometimes we're just given gifts, and it truly is just a matter of what we do with them. So for you to not only fall in love with music, but to be really good at it, And now at 42, dropping your first major release in 15 years. Jim, you got to tell us what songs are covered up to be your favorites off of the album.
Okay, so I like different things for different reasons, right? I think everybody has a mood, right? So
True.
I love Adele, but am I going to listen to her all day long every day? No, I would not be happy with that, right? So there's something for everyone. I think there's a song on there that I really like. It's called "Move On," and when the song was sort of brought to me, it was definitely something that I've got to be able to relate to it, right? If I'm not writing it, I got to relate to it.
Yeah.
And it's basically about how someone is so bad for you, so toxic, but the sex is just so damn good that you just don't give a fuck. And I'm thinking, like, who could not relate to something like that? But I think it's just about anything in general you can pull from it. Like when something's bad, but you keep being so drawn to it. And it's sort of like feeding that sort of carnal desire for something that even we all know is bad, but it just makes you feel good. So how can something so bad be so good? So I really love that song. It also is the breath in the EP where it's like hard and fast. And it kind of has this breather moment. And then it goes back to being really sexy and edgy. So it creates a pause. It's like a breath. And so I kind of love it. It's like kind of right smack dab, like in the middle of the EP.
Did Jace work on the entire album?
Yeah. So Jace wrote every song on my record.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'll tell you this because this is what makes Jace so special.
Yeah.
Our first writing session, we were just getting to know each other. And Jace and I were just talking. We were just having a conversation. And I talked about my life and, what I wanted this EP or the song to sound like. And, I kept using very specific phrases and words. And so little did I know, he's taking notes and he's got 2 big pages of words that have come out of my mouth. And by the end of the conversation, he's like, here, you said this thing 15 times in this 45 minutes. And it was like they knew what to do. Sort of, it was like a therapy session meets writing session. And what ended up happening was Take My Bow, my first kind of comeback single. And it was amazing. It was this perfect idea of not being ready for you then, but being ready for you now, right? And that was really, it wasn't Take My Bow as like a final bow. It was more about, no, I'm ready to take my bow. Like I'm ready to like collect my flowers. Like that's really what the song was about. And we pushed it over to the UK. And it ended up making top 5 on their pop commercial chart. I was on a chart with Kylie Minogue and Calvin Harris and, Crystal Waters, like these icons. And I was like, I was 5. I was 5 on that list. And I was just like, okay, the UK I love. But also it gave me the confidence. It gave me I think the desire to not only, kind of like dip my foot in, but just dive right in. Jace, I owe the world to. I don't know that this project would have come to fruition without them. And just so special, like such a talent.
And this is one thing I love about music too, is that, and I think people in the US don't always grasp this, is that people are listening to you all's music around the world. So if it don't take off in the US, cool, Chile.
There's other markets, baby. Other markets.
There are other parts of the world. And so the fact that you took off in the UK, I think is so beautiful. And it sounds like it was the affirmation that you needed to say, I still got it.
Yeah.
I still got this. I can still do this. And we all need that in our life. Whatever you're doing, whatever journey you're on, you need that type of affirmation. But especially when you're being so public.
Yeah.
So vulnerable. I don't know about you, but every time I drop a new podcast series, I feel like I'm dropping a baby. Okay.
Yes, of course.
and I'm sensitive about my, okay. And so when you put it out, you don't know how people are going to receive it.
No.
You have no idea. And so I'm so glad you got such a reception, top 5 on the UK charts on that single that has fueled, yes, the desire for explicit family. Okay. So at this point, when you're listening to this, it's time to go stream. Okay. And let's put this on the charts for Jim. Let's do this.
Like 0.3 of a penny. That's how much these artists are getting. So.
You said pennies.
I mean, here's the thing. The beautiful thing about where I'm at right now is that people really don't know what to expect. So I can kind of do what I want, right? And as an artist, as you know, Anna, it's expensive. That feeds the costs, right? To produce a record, to pay a songwriter, a mixer, a sound engineer, a vocal producer, remixers for the clubs. It's like, and then if you want to start to hire a publicist to push PR, and then it's, a website, right? And then it's a content creator, right? Because I'm 42 and I'm like, oh shit, TikTok, fuck, I forgot about that. You know, it's like, I've got to learn great. Like, what a fool I'm going to look like, on TikTok.
I mean, I think so much of the strategy today in music is let's drop a TikTok sound and see how far it goes.
Totally.
Who's getting paid on a TikTok sound?
Right.
Right. You're depending on people to hear a sound and then go download it or stream it somewhere. Oftentimes people don't even make the second step. And so the way music, the way we're showing up in the world today, it is not only still expensive, and it may be even more expensive depending upon what you want to do today, but it's also the wild, wild west when it comes to marketing and promotion.
Yep.
Because these big labels, they don't even know what to do. And so you might as well just be independent and figure it out for yourself.
Right.
Okay. And we're going to help support Jim. I'm so glad Nico made us the Chicago connection real so that you are on the show and we get to tell the Queer News fam all about it so that they can be part of the movement, okay, to make this album Explicit hit the charts, okay, so that you can go on tour. Okay.
Yes.
We need all the pennies to add up to a tour. Okay.
Yes,
and we need like a queer music tour. Okay. I think that would be incredible. So, Jim, tell the good people how they can find you, follow you, all the things.
Yeah, you can find me if you want to come say hi, follow me. I'm on Instagram at Jim Verraros. My website is jimverrarosmusic.com. A tour, maybe some pop-up dates soon to come, probably this fall. Music video to come. Lots of great things in the works. So stand by me, support queer artists, support queer music.
And at the end of the day, Jim can sing. Okay, the music is good. So family, go follow Jim across social, tap into the website, support, okay? Because that's what we do here. We support our own. We all we got, okay? You already know. This is E3 Radio, Queer News, done right. If you've enjoyed what you heard, rate and review us inside your favorite podcasting app. This podcast is written and produced by me, Anna DeShawn. Podcast editing by Ryan Woodhall. And brought to you by E3 Radio and distributed on The Cube. We are Queer News Done Right.